All right, so 13th chapter, Nature, the Enjoyer, and Consciousness. And we'll continue from where we left off. This was the subdivision of verses. In the beginning of the chapter, Arjun asked these terms, the meaning of these terms. Kshetram, Kshetrajna, Jnanam, Neyam, Prakriti, and Purusha. Okay. And then 2nd to 7th verses, Krishna describes these first three terms, Kshetram, Kshetrajna, and Jnanam. 8 to 12, Jnanam, process of acquiring knowledge. And then 13 to 19, Neyam, object of 20 to 26, Prakriti, Purusha, and their union. And today we'll do the last section, 27 to 35th, which is Jnana Chakshu, the vision of knowledge. So Kshetra, what is Kshetra? Just a little summary, the field or the body. And this is within the field, what do we see? Field of activities in general. And then the gross element, then the subtle and the causal body. Kshetrajna is the knower of the field. Two kinds of Kshetrajna. One is the soul and one is the super soul. Atma and Paramatma. Then what is Jnanam? It is the knowledge, process of acquiring knowledge. And these were 20 terms that Krishna had given. And their English meanings are right here. And we discussed all of them also. Nayam is the object of knowledge. Okay. What is the object? To know the soul and the super soul. And then there is Purusha, two kinds of Purusha we learned. One is Supreme Soul and one is the Jiva Soul. Now is Jnana Chakshudi, vision of knowledge. Vision of one who can understand Prakriti, Purusha, Kshetram, Kshetrajna, Jnanam, and Nayam from proper perspective. So this is the Jnana Chakshu, the last section of this chapter, 13.27. Yavat sanjayate kinchit sattvam sthavar jangamam kshetra kshetrajna samyogat tadvidhi bharatashabha. Let's have somebody read the translation.
O chief of the Bharatas, know that whatever you see in existence, both the moving and non-moving, is only a combination of field of activities and knower of the field. Hare Krishna.
1 second. Yeah. Sorry. Okay, so chief of the Bharatas know that whatever you see in existence, both the moving and non-moving, so Sthavara Jangamam, is only a combination of the field of activities and the knower of the field. So if we take example over here, one is the painter, and then he has some paint and a brush and easel, and he's painting, he's drawing on the easel. Philosophical vision that the variety in this world can be reduced down to the fundamentals for an enlightened view. And dispassionate vision is that although so many things in this world are captivating, but ultimately they are nothing but combination of field and the knower of the field. So here we see what is Kshetra. It's the canvas, paint, and brush. Kshetrajna is the painter, and what is the painting is a combination of Kshetrajna and Kshetra. Similarly, if a person is an architect, we see over here the building is the combination, which is Kshetra and Kshetrajna. Kshetrajna is the architect, and Kshetra is the material, cement, plaster, etc., etc. So Krishna is saying everything in this world, whether it's moving or non-moving, is a combination of Kshetra and Kshetrajna. And what is Jnana Chakshu? The vision of knowledge that enables us to see things more deeply and more seriously, more lovingly. When we see how everything, whether moving or non-moving, is ultimately coming from Krishna and are but a spark of his splendor. So how everything is connected with Krishna. Just today in the morning, I was listening to my Guru Maharaj's lecture, and he was mentioning how when people understand that we're not the soul, we're the body, we are not the body, we're the soul, they get one aspect can be they get too detached. Okay. And then he was giving example when a little baby is born, the impersonalists see the baby as just a product of something very gross, okay, coming in this material world. What is the point? This and that. So they get dispassionate. There is no depth and there is no love. But in bhakti, although we understand we are not this body, we are the soul, but we connected with Krishna, and how everything is in this world is a part and parcel of Krishna, then there is that aspect of love also. Although there is detachment, but there is love also. So beautifully, Maharaj was explaining this same concept. So this is Jnana Chakshu. Prabhupada says, without the touch of superior nature, the living entity, nothing can grow. Therefore, the relationship between matter and nature is eternally going on. And this combination is affected by the Supreme Lord. Therefore, he is the controller of both the superior and inferior natures. Once one understands this, what is the result of that? That brings equal vision. In the next verse, the result of that equal vision is talked about. Earlier, also in the 5th chapter, there was a verse on equal vision. Anybody remembers that verse? 5.18.
Yeah, Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahma.
Pandita Samarajana
Vidya Vinay Sampanne.
Vidya Vinay Sampanne.
Very nice. The true seer's vision of Paramatma. So this is 13.28. Samam sarveshu bhuteshu tishtantam parameshwaram vinashyastva vinashyantam yah pashati sapashati. Somebody can read translation.
One who sees the supersoul accompanying the individual soul in all bodies, and who understands that neither the soul nor the supersoul within the destructible body is ever destroyed, actually sees. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So samam sarveshu bhuteshu, equally one who sees all living beings. Tishtantam parameshwaram, seeing the Ishwar as Param, the Supreme Lord, situated in the hearts of all living beings. Vinashyastva, vinashyastam, vinashyantam. Neither the soul nor the Supreme Soul are destructible, situated in the destructible body. Ya pashati sa pashati. One who sees this way actually sees. To be enlightened and to have proper and deep understanding of this knowledge is to have this vision, this equal vision. So one sees that beyond matter is spirit. With these two texts, all of existence is a combination of matter and spirit, and then see beyond matter at spirit, then you'll have an equal vision. In the next verse, the benefit of that equal vision is talked about. 13.29. Samam pashyan hi sarvatra samavasthitam ishwaram na hinnasti atmanam tato yati param gatim. Have somebody read?
One who sees the super soul equally present everywhere in every living being does not degrade himself by his mind. Thus, he approaches the transcendental destination. Hari Bol.
The one who sees, this is samam pashyan hi sarvatra, everywhere. One who sees this supersoul equally present everywhere in every living being does not degrade himself by his mind. Thus he approaches the transcendental destination. In this way, one sees everything equally. Samam pashyan hi sarvatra. And samam Sama vastitam Ishwaram, one who sees that Ishwar is situated equally. Samam is equal. So na hinasti atmanam, then the mind does not degrade the self. Atmana atmanam. Let's see in the word to word. Atmana is Hinasti is degrade, Atmana is by the mind, and Atmanam is the soul. So one does not degrade the self with the mind, or the mind does not degrade the self. Tato yati param gatim, and then one attains the supreme destination. It is our material vision that causes all the problems: lust, envy, anger, pride, illusion, greed, making us hold grudges against others, causing degradation of the soul. Another lecture I was listening, which is connected to this, when we hold grudges against people, Prabhupada always used to say, right, don't, if the postman is getting a letter and you open the letter and whatever is written from wherever you're getting it, why should we hold the postman responsible, right? He's just delivering. So that's why Prabhupada used to say, anybody who's doing anything against us, speaking bad or whatever, has done something bad, why hold grudge against that person? Because he's just delivering our karma. What we might have done in our past to somebody, he's just bringing that karma. So why hold grudges? And that relieves us so much, right? It lightens our heart. I only have done something in the past. It's just coming back to me through this person in this life. So it just makes us, our heart feels so light, right? It could be our own family members, our own children, our own, friends bringing all this, whatever, bad stuff back to us. And yeah, it just lightens us. Hinasti is degrade Atmana by the mind, and Atmanam is the soul. When there is no equal vision, the soul may get degraded by the mind, and the chain of karmic entanglement begins. The mind is our greatest enemy, right? Little thing here and there happens, and then the mind just takes us to a journey where there is no return, where we are so engrossed in just with negative thoughts. Why this? Why me? Right? And then that karmic entanglement begins. Okay, next time I see this person, I'll say this and I'll say that. Okay, so you see in this slide a picture where we can have this vision that somebody is really beautiful or is not so beautiful or is so wealthy or is a beggar. So this is a vision of a person who does not have the understanding that the soul is the same, it's just the outward which is different. Na is does not, hinasti is degrade, again by the mind and the soul. One does not degrade oneself. How? One understands that Ishwar is situated in all living beings. So, Sama Vastitam Ishwaram. One thing is that Ishwar is there in every living being, and the other thing is the soul also is the same in every living entity, right? Minute, minuscule, 1/10,000 part of the tip of the soul. It's the same in each living entity. Devotional reinterpretation of events. Here we see it's because the Supreme Lord's will that I have. Which pastime is this? Anybody remembers?
Devotional interpretation. This is this Parikshit Maharaj.
Parikshit Maharaj putting a snake around the sage, yes.
Yes.
So this was
This
the
is the
interpretation. Yes, go ahead, Prabhu.
yes. This is yeah. In fact, this Muni, what is his name? Not Shavanaka. His boy Karsuri. Yeah, he was just the instrumental because this Srimad Bhagavatam has to come. So this Parikshit, he put this snake around his neck, and he was cursed, and Srimad Bhagavatam came for this reason.
Yeah, so he was cursed, right? Parikshit Maharaj was cursed, but what was his interpretation of this situation, this, circumstance? He's thinking it is because of Supreme Lord's will that I have been cursed. The Brahmin boy, Shringi, as acting because of his own anger. But the Lord is so expert that he used somebody else's anger to instruct me, to elevate me. So this also frees us from so much of false ego, right? Somebody is rude to us, is always condescending. What can be our understanding that Lord is so kind, He's using somebody else's anger to instruct me, to elevate me, to come closer to you, O my Lord. So this was Parikshit Maharaj's interpretation of the circumstance. Here we see another situation. Yes, Pooja Mataji.
Just wanted to mention maybe the other way doesn't work, right? That we should always be controlled with our anger, but we should be good.
Yeah, we should always, that's such a good point. We should not be that postman always. Let me bring that, letter to you. Let me be that uh, intermediary. We shouldn't think like that. Yeah, yes. For a guru, it's a different thing. When a guru is instructing, he doesn't think like that. He thinks that for me it is my duty to correct my disciple or my student, so that this thing is not repeated again, or to curb the false ego of my student. I have to do this. But we also have to be intelligent to understand that, where to put the line, where to understand that yes, this was for me. Our Guru Maharaj always says there's a very fine line between humility and being unintelligent in understanding this principle. So we also have to be intelligent in understanding where to draw that line. Okay, so yeah, but very good point. We shouldn't be the person always. Because we are also creating karma for ourselves, right? Although we are bringing that, whatever the other person had to suffer, we are bringing it, but we have chosen to bring it. So we also have to face karma for it. We cannot think that, okay, this person was supposed to face this, so I'm bringing it. There is no harm, but yeah, we are also creating further karma for ourselves. Covered by Mahamaya, Duryodhan verbally castigated. You are the son of a Shudra, you are a traitor, and have bitten the very hands that have fed you. And who is this? Who is he talking to?
Vidura.
Vidura?
Yeah, and response under the influence of Yoga Maya. So Duryodhan's chastisement was under Mahamaya. And what was the response by Vidura under Yoga Maya? This is Krishna's arrangement to disentangle me from the nefarious affairs of the Kurus, and he left. And again, going back to the lecture I was hearing, Maharaj was saying when Vidura left, what was Duryodhan saying to him? You have just leave this palace without anything, without no wealth, no family, nothing. Just leave the clothes on your back, yes, and just with your life breath. Just leave with your life breath and leave this palace. That's how he was, chastised and made to leave. And Vidura was thinking, this is such a blessing for me. He's asking me to leave with my life breath. And who is my life breath? It's Krishna. So that Krishna is always with me and I'm leaving with him. So this is such a blessing. And all of these situations coming from the Bhagavatam, devotional reinterpretation of events is vital for our spiritual advancement. Whatever happens, we can see it as an opportunity to come closer to Krishna. So we see Indradyumna Maharaj being cursed. Let's have somebody unmute, and if you know all of them, just one sentence for each of these.
Yeah.
Somebody who hasn't spoken before can unmute.
Devotional reinterpretation of events is vital for our spiritual advancement. Whatever happens, we can see it as an opportunity to come closer to Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. And who can talk about these pastimes? What was the situation and how it was reinterpreted?
Shivaji. Singha.
Okay, so the topmost we see Vritrasura, right? He was cursed to become a demon
Vritrasura. Oh,
by
okay.
Parvati, right?
Parvati.
Then we just discussed the other one.
Parikshit
Parikshit
Maharaj.
was
Yeah.
cursed.
Parikshit.
Bottom left is Indradumna Maharaj being cursed by Agastya Muni, was it, to become an elephant? Then we see Ambarish Maharaj, where the demon, was
Durvasa.
created, by Durvasa Muni to kill Ambarish Maharaj. And the next one is who? Bali Maharaj.
Shukracharya and Bali Maharaj.
Yeah, Shukracharya and Bali Maharaj. And for Bali Maharaj, he took the opportunity to surrender completely to the Lord, who came as Vamanadev. Okay. Sharnagati, the six principles of surrender to Hari. This is from the Bhakti Vilas, Sharnagati. Anukulasya sankalpa pratikulasya varjanam rakshashya yati iti vishvaso goptritve varanam tatha atma nikshepa karparne shatvidha sharanagata gati. So anukulasya sankalpa, accepting only what is favorable for unalloyed bhakti. Pratikulasya varjanam, rejecting everything unfavorable for unalloyed bhakti. And then Rakshashya Vishwaso, having faith that only Bhagwan is one's protector. Gotripte Triptve Varanam is accepting Bhagwan as one's only maintainer. Atma Nikshepa, complete submission of oneself to Bhagwan, and Karparne, feeling meek, humble, and insignificant. Let's hear what Gaurang Prabhu is saying. This is also from Bhagavatam.
You know your carpets are crawling with millions of dust mites.
Ew.
नमस्ये पुरुषं त्वाद्यम् ईश्वरं प्रकृतेः परम् अलक्ष्यं सर्वभूतानाम् अंतर्बहिरवस्थितम्. Kunti Maharani offers this prayer to Krishna. Namasye Purusham tu Adyam. O Krishna, you are Adi Purusha. You may apparently manifest as my nephew, but you are the original person who is the origin of all persons in the entire cosmic manifestation. Namasye Purusham Tvadyam. Ishvaraha, you are the supreme controller. There may be so many controllers in this world, but you are the supreme amongst all of them. Ishwaram. Prakriteha Param. There are so many Ishwaras who are controllers of certain affairs of this material world, but they are also under the control of someone. But you are Prakriteha Param. You are not under the influence of anybody. The Prakriti cannot control you. This material nature will not have any influence on you. You are such an Ishvara who is beyond Prakriti. Ishwaram Prakriteha Param. Alakshyam Sarva Bhutanam Antar Bahir Avasthitam. Alakshyam means you are not visible to everyone. So you are very inconceivable, and it is not so easy to see you, perceive you. Why? Although you are staying right within them, Antar Bahir Avasthitam. Krishna is there within the hearts of everyone as Paramatma. Krishna is there outside also. He is all pervading in the entire universe. But still, people cannot see him. Why? Because Maya Javanika Channam Agna Dhokshajamavyayam. Maya Javanika Achannam, because the vision of people is covered by Maya, by the illusory energy of the Lord. So it's like a curtain covering the vision of people in general and blocks their vision to see the Lord. So by performing devotional service or bhakti yoga, we can develop the right vision to see God. Otherwise, this material illusory energy will cover our vision. Maya javanika channam agna adhokshajam avyayam alakshyam sarva bhutanam antarbahiravastitam means although the Lord is inside also, outside also, He is invisible because of this Maya curtain. So one has to be diligent enough to remove the curtain of Maya by our efforts of devotional service. And by our own efforts of bhakti, we cannot remove the curtain of Maya, but by seeing our efforts in bhakti, Krishna will remove the curtain of Maya so that we will be able to see Him. That is the glory of Krishna. That is the glory of Bhakti Yoga as described by Queen Kunti. Hare Krishna.
For more such devotional programs,
Okay. We'll come to the next slide. Next presentation. So 1 second. Okay, moving on to the 30th verse. Prakrite chakarmani kriyamanani sarvasha yapashyati tathatmanam akartaram sapashyati. Somebody read?
One who can see that all activities are performed by the body, which is created of material nature, and sees that the self does nothing, actually sees. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So here we see example of a little child who insists he wants a balloon which is in the shape of an apple. We see, right, so many balloons in different shapes, in the shape of a duck and all those things. But here he's asking for an apple-shaped balloon. And mother says, let me get you a real apple. The balloon will burst and then it is of no use. But he's crying, no, 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 I want the balloon, I want the balloon. And as soon as they reach home, the balloon is popped. So that's what we're asking Maya for all these things in the material world which are going to be popped, right? We're demanding. And because we demand from Krishna, who's like a father, he instructs Prakriti, which is the Maya Devi, Shakti, provide this to the child. It's okay, right? Just like mother may say, no, no, let me get you an apple. That's of some use. You eat it, become healthy. No, I want the apple-shaped balloon. And father says, okay, he's crying so much, just give it. So here we are crying out, and Krishna says to Maya Devi, just provide it. It's okay. So Maya Devi provides illusory things because we are demanding. The soul cannot do anything on its own. It is just seated in this bodily machine and asking Krishna, I want this, I want that. And Krishna tells Prakriti, provide this and that to this balloon. Foolish people think that by my hard work, I became a billionaire from a beggar. But it is Krishna through Prakriti who gives us the brain, the body, the skills, so we can do wonderful things. Another example is this: changing lights for traffic signals are controlled by what? The government, right? The state government in the country. But we cannot see all what is going on behind. We just see the lights. So similarly, in this world, Prakriti or Durga Devi, through the agency of the three modes, is making all the jivas act. The three modes, then there's Durga Devi, then there's Krishna. And here we see there's the traffic control, or the lights, behind that is the state government, behind that is the country. So she, under the direction of Krishna, has provided us this bodily machine, which is acting in a certain way. Another example is this toy. You must have seen, right? We used to have this toy with a key, this clown, and you wind the key and the clown starts playing the drum. So she makes the bodies move by winding a key, which is made up of the three modes of material nature. So the key is the three modes. And we are the ones playing the drum, sometimes playing, sometimes stopping, and then playing again. Prabhupada says, to fulfill desires, one is given the body with which he acts accordingly. Practically speaking, the body is a machine designed by the Supreme Lord to fulfill desires. Next verse, 13.31. Yada bhuta pratak bhavam ekastam anupashyati tata eva cha vistaram brahma sampadyate tada. So somebody read the translation.
When a sensible man ceases to see different identities due to different material bodies, and he sees how beings are expanded everywhere, he attains to the Brahman conception. Hare Krishna.
Krishna. Okay, let's look at the verse one more time. Yada bhuta pratak bhavam. So when the living entities with the separate identities, they're situated in one. Anupashyati. So ekastham, situated in one. Anupasthiti, one tries to see through authority. What? Tata eva. Vistaram, the expansion of Brahma, the absolute, he attains. That vision he attains at that time. So when a sensible man ceases to see different identities due to different material bodies and sees how beings are expanded everywhere, he attains the Brahman conception. So the example here is given how the sun expands into the reflection in the pots, right? The pots are filled with water. There is only one sun, but it is reflected in all of these pots. So similarly, the super soul expands into various bodies. He's situated as one, but he also expands into various all living entities or bodies. A true seer can see that no jiva is acting and that the jiva is aloof in this world. He requires a material body here, which is not him. And the material body is made to act by Prakriti. According to one's Svabhava, one is given a body and is forced to act according to the bodily constitution. Whereas in the spiritual world, the jiva is actually active. He himself acts in loving service to Krishna. So here in the material world, we are given a body, we are acting, but actually what is happening? We are just fulfilling our desires, and based on our desires, the body is given to us. And Prakriti is facilitating that or accommodating that fulfillment of the desires by giving us these bodies under the three modes. But whereas in the spiritual world, one is acting, the jiva himself is actually active. There is no material covering. It is the spiritual form in which the jiva is acting in service of Krishna. When one can see that the various bodies of living entities arise due to the different desires of the individual soul and do not actually belong to the soul itself, one actually sees. Now Krishna will describe how one should see the spiritual reality. This is 13.32. Anaditvam nirgunatvat Paramatmayam avyayam sharirastopi konteya na karuti na lipyate. Somebody wants to read? You can unmute.
Those with the vision of eternity can see that the imperishable soul is transcendental, eternal, and beyond the modes of nature. Despite contact with the material body, O Arjuna, the soul neither does anything nor is entangled. 1332. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Somehow seems like we're back in the second chapter, right? Soul and body, but more details, with more details. There, the characteristics of the soul were given more and how the body is different and the soul is different. But here, so many more details about the soul and also the Supreme Soul. There was no mention of the Supreme Soul. Here, it is going more deeper. So, Prabhupada says in the purport, a living entity appears to be born because of the birth of material body, but actually the living entity is eternal. It is not born, and in spite of his being situated in a material body, he is transcendental and eternal. Thus, he cannot be destroyed. See, same what we've learned in second chapter. But by nature, he's full of bliss. He does not engage himself in any material activities. Therefore, the activities performed due to his contact with material bodies do not entangle him. So many more details about the soul, how once in this body we do work, but the soul can never be entangled. Soul is completely transcendental and separate than the body. Okay, we just read this from the purport. Next verse. The soul does not mix with matter. 33. Yatha sarvagatam shokshmyad akasham no pilipyate sarvatra vasthito dehe tathatma no palipyate.
The sky
due to its subtle nature, does not mix with the anything, although it is all pervasive. Similarly, the soul situated in Brahman vision does not mix with body, though situated in that body. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. The sky due to its subtle nature. So here again, Krishna is bringing an analogy which he always does in Bhagavad Gita. So many examples and analogies Krishna has given from nature, because this is never going to change. What the nature was there 5,000 years ago, it is still there, and we can relate to it. When we hear about these examples, we relate to them and understand these verses in a deeper manner. So Krishna is giving example, just like the sky, due to its subtle nature, does not mix with anything, although it is all pervading. Similarly, the soul situated in Brahman vision does not mix with the body, though situated in that body. I also heard from Haripasha Prabhuji was here recently in his classes. I was not the time he was here, but one of his recorded classes on YouTube. I was hearing that when we go through anything which gives us happiness or sadness, he was asking a question. Do you think the soul feels happiness and the soul feels sadness? Do you have an answer for that?
I don't think so, Mother.
No.
Don't think so, right? But he was quoting the Shastras and he was saying ultimately the soul does feel the sadness and
As long
does
as it's
feel.
spiritual, anything spiritual, the soul will feel happy. I don't think if it is material, he has anything to do with it. He just observes. Like the two
He just
parrots on the tree.
observes, but when he goes through some sadness or happiness, ultimately it's the soul who does experience. This is what he was saying from the Shastras. I'll go back and see which this lecture is, and I can share that with you. So he was, and that's how the soul also gets entangled, comes back in this world to face the karmas of those, past, what he's done and he's experienced before. So although we have nothing to do with it, but we get entangled. Here also, if you read the verse carefully, the soul situated in Brahman vision does not mix with the body, though situated in that body. But the person who has the material vision gets entangled and has to take birth again in this world. So this was my understanding, and this is what we see if you read closely what Krishna is meaning over here. So we have to have that Brahman vision, not to mix in this material body and the situations. So this is what Krishna is talking about for a person who has that Brahman vision. And the example again is that just as the air enters into water, mud, stool, whatever else there is. So this is from the purport. Still, it does not mix with anything. Similarly, the living entity, even though situated in varieties of bodies, is aloof from them due to his subtle nature. So although the soul is subtle and is aloof, still the repercussions of what the jiva is going through in this life, of sadness and happiness, are ultimately reaching the soul.
Yeah, Mataji, that is why at the time of death, the soul doesn't want to leave the body. That means he's feeling that separation from the body and wants to be there. So whatever situation, the soul is getting attached also to that situation.
Yeah, that's so true. So many times when a person is not willing to leave the body, although there's so much suffering, the doctors also recommend and tell the near and dear ones, just go, tell in the ear, everything is okay, everything will be okay, please, you can pass peacefully. That's what I had to do with my father also. He was suffering a lot in the end. And I had to tell him everything is okay, Papa, you can go forward in your journey. I was taking names of the family members and telling him, oh, everybody is peaceful, they're okay, they'll be fine. Like that, we had to say all those things. Here in this picture also, you're seeing how a soul leaving the body, and how when the baby is born, or when we conceive, when the soul enters, nobody knows. Therefore, it is, and I was reading also when my father was right there, when he took his last breath, I was researching and finding out, is it at the time the last breath is taken when the soul leaves the body, or is it before that, death comes and it's called agonal breathing. At the end of life, when a person is breathing, it's called agonal. When a breath comes and after some few seconds, the next breath comes like that. It's called agonal. And it's not, it's the body's breathing. I mean, the soul which is in the body has no capacity now, because that relationship is almost broken. But the soul, because the body and the soul is still there in the body, it is the body's natural way of breathing and keeping, the brain alive. The last few cells which are there in the brain, they're still alive, although they're now almost dead. So in that transition, the breath that is coming is called agonal breathing. So although the person might have been dead, or the soul must have left before, but the breathing is still continuing. That's, when you turn off the fan, the switch, electricity, it is blocked, but the fan still keeps moving slowly, and then it comes to a halt. So like that, the body is still, the cells are still dying, all are not yet dead. So that time is what the breathing is called agony. So we don't know exactly what time the soul leaves the body and exactly what time the soul enters, the embryo. Therefore, it is impossible to see with the material eyes how the living entity is in contact with this body and how he's out of it after the destruction of the body. No one in science can ascertain this.
Yes, Mataji, we have heard some near-death experiences.
Yeah.
Where the soul goes out and it sees, and again it enters, and they tell that experiences. It's a mystery, really. The soul and the matter, the joining is a mystery.
Yeah,
Nobody
we
can
see in
understand.
Bhagavatam also, right? Where
Yes, Bhagavatam.
the soul was brought, which was Chitraketu, when his son
Chitraketu,
died,
his son.
correct? And Narad Muni brought back the soul in the body, and then the body Jiva came back to life and said, which father, which mother, because they were still crying, mother is still crying, they're saying, oh, my son. And, the Jiva comes to life and says, okay, from which birth are you my father or mother?
He forgets.
He forgets. Also in Chaitanya Charitamrita, remember when Mahaprabhu
yeah.
brought
Srivas Prabhu.
Shiva's son back to life? Yeah. Okay, 13.34. Yata prakashayate eka kritsnam lokamimam ravihi kshetram kshetri tatha kritsnam prakashayati bharata. O son of Bharata, as the sun alone illuminates. Okay, somebody wants to go ahead.
O son of Bharata, as the sun alone illuminates all this universe, so does the living entity, one within the body, illuminate the entire body by consciousness. Bhagavad Gita 13.34.
There's a really nice video that we watched when we were doing the second chapter. We'll watch it again, end of this class, where the same verse is repeated and they're explaining about this verse. So how the sun alone illuminates the entire universe, so does the living entity, one within the body, illuminates the entire body by consciousness. So again, see, beautiful example from nature. Krishna is talking about how the sun illuminates. Similarly, the body is illuminated by this Jiva soul. The Vedic explanation is that although the soul and matter are completely distinct, there is a mediation that is done through the super soul, who has control over both. Supersoul enables the soul's desires to get transmitted and to have appropriate changes made in matter. So this is also a beautiful concept given in our scriptures, that we don't have any control over Prakriti, but how is that transmitted? Our desires are transmitted, and we can fulfill our desires through Prakriti. It is only through the presence of the super soul then. Let's keep moving. As soon as the sun rises, the birds start chirping, the vegetation and flowers start to bloom due to their connection. Similarly, our consciousness is luminous and brilliant like the sun. And as soon as the soul leaves the body, it is just a dead matter. And although it's our dearmost, could be relative, what happens? We want to bring the body and burn it as soon as possible, because it starts to disintegrate, starts to The last verse of this chapter, and this is the Falashruti 13.35. Kshetra kshetragnayorevam antaram jnana chakshusha bhuta prakriti moksham cha ye viduryanti te param. Somebody wants to read? You can unmute.
Those who see with eyes of knowledge the difference between the body and the knower of the body, and can also understand the process of liberation from bondage and material nature, attain to the supreme goal. Hare Krishna.
With the eyes of knowledge, one sees the difference between the body and the soul and the process of liberation from bondage in the material world. How to get liberated? By not becoming adamantly attracted to Prakriti with the desire to enjoy. Everyone is seeking Krishna, for he is the super soul of all individual souls. One who can see the constitution of the whole material manifestation as this combination of the soul and the material elements, and also can see the situation of the Supreme Soul, becomes eligible for transfer to the spiritual world. So this understanding brings liberation. And here is the video. Let's watch it.
You know your carpets are crawling with millions of dust mites.
Ew.
The Amazing Soul, the Vedic Introduction. The Vedic wisdom tradition offers us a coherent, cogent, and extensive body of knowledge about the soul. One of the defining characteristics of the Vedic wisdom tradition in general, and the Bhagavad Gita in particular, is its clear and analytical treatment of the subject of the soul. It does not treat the soul vaguely as a metaphorical reference to our intangible essence. Rather, it presents the soul concretely as a very real spiritual entity with its own distinctive characteristics.
We sometimes say in the West, I have a soul. But I think from the Bhagavad Gita's perspective, it'd be more correct to say, I am the soul and I have a body. The soul is what provides cognition to an awareness to the body. And it's the soul that is the part of us that is aware, that feels.
The Amazing Soul, consciousness personified. Consciousness does not originate in the brain. Then where does it originate? The Bhagavad Gita explains that it originates from the soul.
यथा प्रकाशयत्येकः कृत्स्नम् लोकमिमम् रविः क्षेत्रम् क्षेत्री तथा कृत्स्नम् प्रकाशय भारत.
The Bhagavad Gita 13.34 illustrates the relationship between the soul and consciousness with a vivid example. O son of Bharata, as the sun alone illuminates all this universe, so does the living entity, one within the body, illuminate the entire body by consciousness. This verse indicates that just as the sun illuminates the universe, the soul illuminates the body with consciousness. This implies that just as sunlight is the symptom of the sun, consciousness is the symptom of the soul.
The power of the soul extends throughout the entire body. There's a passage in the Katha Upanishad which describes the soul as like the sun. It illuminates a particular area. Sometimes it's described like a lamp or a candle. It provides, the light of a candle will fill up a room in the same way that the illumination of the soul will fill up the body.
If we are inside a room and can't see the sun and the sky outside, we can still infer its presence by observing its symptom, sunlight. Similarly, even though we are not able to see the soul inside the body, we can still infer its presence by observing its symptom, consciousness.
Stop there. We finished the chapter. Any reflections or any questions or any comments?
Mataji, I have one question. Like, soul experiences the happiness and sadness we were talking, right? What about the trupti, that satisfaction? Does the soul experience that also?
You know, I'm thinking about that lecture only. There was a word that he had used. So the body and the mind and the subtle, intelligence, they are experiencing all these, whatever we're going through day to day in life. But it is ultimately reached, the soul is reached or touched by the experiences of happiness and distress through the super soul. And you know how we have expansions of Narayan, the 4 expansions, Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, and Anirudh. They are the ones who are bringing, one of them is bringing this, because I heard this long back, I have to hear it again. And I wanted to write down that time also, and I didn't have time. So one of them is bringing this experience like that. This was what what he was explaining, and I have to hear it again to have a deeper understanding and to bring it in words clearly. So the experience of that happiness, or the impression that, for example, somebody like I lost my father recently. Now that is like a deep sorrow, and that goes and touches the jiva, soul also. So like that, those impressions are carried, and the jiva is affected through that happiness or distress. But when we have a vision, which is Brahman vision, all this that Krishna has spoken about, we're not the body, we're the soul. Everybody is going through this cycle of, birth and death, and how we have to be detached. With this understanding, when we look at situations, then that touching of the distress and happiness, it doesn't affect the jiva in that way. When we see the Krishna connection. So that's why liberation for that jiva happens when we have that vision of equality for everyone, that everybody is going through the same thing, and there's no reason to get so adamantly distressed or so much elated with various situations. Sorry, I went into a different. So what was your question?
Sometimes we feel very satisfied, right, Mataji, even after doing
Trupti.
puja or japa, trupti. Is that feeling also related to soul?
Yeah, yes, for sure. Spiritually, whenever we feel that love and satisfaction, it is direct reciprocation of love from Krishna, for sure. Yeah, and that is what we're looking for, because that is the real situation of a jiva in connection with the soul. Because we're part and parcel of Krishna, that is the real thing. that feeling of that connectivity with Krishna is the real thing. Whatever we experience in this material world is temporary, and it is going to pass. And so many examples, even Hiranyakashipu, when he was talking to his family, when Hiranyaksha's brother, was killed by Vishnu, Lord Vishnu, Brahadev. At that time, he was preaching his own family, and he was talking about how jivas come together and then they part ways. And he gave example of just like in a restaurant, people come together, they're eating at different tables, right? That feeling of commonness is there because everybody's sitting at the same place and having their whatever dinner or lunch, but then they go away again. Another example, how on a body of water, some what did tili ko kya bolte hain English mein? Little branches, they
Twigs.
fall on the water,
Straw,
twigs. They
straw.
yeah, twigs, right? Small little twigs, they fall on the water and they come together, but then they part ways because of the waves on the body of the water. So yeah, they come together and then they part ways. So like that, everything is temporary in this material world, but what is the real thing is our connection with Krishna. Our love and our devotion and our service to Krishna is what is real. Yes.
Bhagavatam Shloka Mataji 126.
26.
Savye pumsa paro dharma yato bhaktirado. Only the soul will be happy only by devotional service, and all other happiness are related to body, mind, and intelligence. They will not touch the soul. Only that impressions is that impressions, they are mystery. This connection is through this super soul, no? This impressions, it has been told that whatever these functions the body doing, first it has to be sanctioned by the super soul. Means, so suppose now I am seeing you through this laptop. The super soul has to see first, then only I can see.
Profound, right? Just like
It
a
is a
small
mystery,
baby is born for a few days, even a month or two, when there is not much awareness of the surroundings. When we look at the baby has impressions, right, on his face, his or her face, which are like sometimes crying, sometimes suddenly smiling and laughing even, and we're thinking, what is happening? So it's the past impressions, right? And I saw that when my father was passing away, I could see there was no consciousness or awareness of his surroundings, but I could see those impressions. Sometimes, going like this, sometimes like this, and looking here, not looking at his surroundings, but I don't know what he was seeing. He was going like this and this and this. It was, if he was my father and I wasn't scared, but if it was somebody else who I didn't know, I would have been scared. I wouldn't be, wanting to be there next to that jiva. So it is scary. Yeah. So these impressions, and they are the ones which bind us, right? Although, he used to chant 16 rounds, but it is so difficult at the time we're leaving the body. All these, past impressions, they come back, and whatever we've done in this life, or even maybe past lives, they are moving around in circles, right? All these
15 chapters.
I also saw in my dadi, my grandmother, when she was leaving her body. I wasn't there at that time, but when she was really sick, I was there with her. And the same night she left her body when they were taking her to the hospital. And what was she? She was in such a state where, every word she spoke, she felt like vomiting. She was really in a bad shape. But what she was speaking, every time she could say something, my chacha, we had a joint family. And my chacha and chachi, they had twins, little, small little girls. They were still having fed by bottles milk. And she was like, unka doodh dal do, do this, dal nahi charai. Like, what what was coming in words was household work, which she's done all her life. So that's what she was thinking at that time also when she was, almost going to leave her body. So that's why our devotional service, we're so blessed that Prabhupada brought this, bhakti in our life so we can, at every moment, we can choose to dedicate our, life and breath and our body in service of Krishna so that we can, that's what comes in our mind when we are leaving this body.
Mataji, another question, small question. When I was like in the school, once I got some high fever and became unconscious for a few seconds. That time, I was thinking what happened that moment because I wasn't aware of anything at all until I came to. What happens, Mataji, really in that moment, unconscious?
Oh, I think it is the same thing as one has a deep sleep, right? We're not aware of our surroundings. So exactly what goes on in the mind, I don't know. I cannot give a direct answer, but it could be those impressions that a jiva is carrying. We are with those, that subtle body is still alive, or we can say still conscious. So that's what we have with us, what we're, the impressions and the swabhava and the impressions that we're carrying. That's why with detachment, in the beginning only Krishna said, be detached. You're not this body, you're the soul, be detached, be aloof from what's happening. And then at the level of the consciousness where we are aware that yes, we are part and parcel of Krishna, and that is our ultimate goal in life, to serve Krishna and Radharani. With that understanding, if we live our life, then it becomes that transition to the spiritual world becomes easy for us.
Yeah, he's
Hare Krishna,
showing by example, like how he says in 11th chapter, that in spite of all these jivas going inside him, he remains aloof, not getting acha mere wapas aa gaye, gale milte hain, nothing like that. He's aloof, acha ho gaye, aa gaye, now you have come, be there for some time till you get the time to go out again. So he remains aloof. So in a way, he's telling by his own examples how we have to be like that in our life, even if we are serving our families, doing normal courses of life, but be aloof like Krishna.
And it is a journey, right? Gradually one becomes aloof. It is not easy. From the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita, coming ultimately to the 18th chapter, 1866 and 65, Man Mana Bhava Mad Bhakta, always think of me, from the point where we are so not detached and so attached to our material family and friends and everything. So from that, coming to the point where we can always think of Krishna, it is a journey and it is gradual. But within bhakti also, if we see throughout our life where we're engaged in devotional service, we are not the same as we were 5-10 years ago, right? In bhakti, there's so much difference right now in consciousness, and that's what's going to, if we have the right, people to guide us, our gurus, and we are on this path following their footsteps, there will be a time where we'll see after 10 years, oh wow, this is a place I want to be. And if we look back to where we are right now, there'll be much more advancement. So yeah, it's a gradual journey from attachment to the ultimate total detachment and attachment to Krishna. Yeah. Yes, Prabhu wanted to, he unmuted.
Hare Krishna, Mataji,
Hare
I
Krishna.
was just kind of little more curious about why. So after the 12th chapter, which is more in Bhakti Yoga, and wherein it ends with Shraddhaya Pariyopetas, how come after all this Bhakti is being discussed with, the Gyan has been taken, Bhakti Gyan has been taken, why did Arjun ask these questions of Kshetra, Kshetragya, or consciousness and other? It doesn't have any correlation with Bhakti probably directly. It's more on the Gyan side.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Is there a linkage, or is like, I don't know, I mean,
There is a linkage, yes. See, after Krishna gave a knowledge about devotional service, right? How we can totally surrender to Him. 9.34, same thing. Manabhav Mad Bhakto is the ultimate. Are we at that stage still that we are always thinking of Krishna all the time? We're not, right? Are we? So although He has given us the knowledge how we can ultimately always think of me and of Him, and that is the ultimate, but we are not at that level yet. So through jnana, how we can come to the stage of bhakti is what this section is about. Through jnana, that yes, this material world is bringing about that or making that idea enforced that this material world is material, that you have nothing to do with it, and how to transcend it through jnana and come close to Krishna is what he's talking about. So that we don't get entangled in this material world through our aspirations within this world. Abhi or knowledge mil gaya, yes, Krishna is the ultimate, but because we're not at that level, through jnana, how we can come to that level is what Krishna is now talking about. जैसे फॉर एग्जाम्पल एक बच्चे को हमने नॉलेज दिया, डोंट गो आउट ऑन द रोड, देयर आर कार्स कमिंग, यू माइट गेट हर्ट. I have this knowledge given to the child, but sometimes when the child is playing on the driveway or ball चली जाती है रोड तक और बच्चा भाग के he forgets and he still will go. So being that kind parent, Krishna is still there with the child कि ये भागने वाला है, इसको रोकना है, इसको पकड़ना है ड्राइववे से. So although बताया है कि रोड पे नहीं जाना, but still we might just go on the road because we're following that ball. Krishna is still there guiding us how not to still run after the ball. So he's reinforcing the knowledge that he gave in the beginning chapters. In the second chapter is the content of the Gita summarized. Everything what Krishna wants to give in the Bhagavad Gita, he has summarized in the second chapter, but he's elaborating upon it in the further coming chapters. So he has bhakti ke bare mein bata diya. That is the ultimate, but he's reinforcing it because we're still entangled in this world, because we're still not at the level that we're always at every moment thinking of Krishna and come to that, ultimate. I'm talking about myself, still not at that level.
Exactly, Mataji. It is the reinforcement. And since Jiva has, the soul has, it has fallen from there. It was there. That was what they say, we were in Goloka. And for enjoyment, we fell down. And Krishna gives us a shock. In this 11th chapter, he gives a shock to Arjuna, who have mind. Then, slowly he is explaining why 13th, 14th, 15th chapter, why we take rebirth. This Tvayurgandha Nivasat, just like the air with the aroma goes, we are going from one body to another. So Arjuna, be careful.
I'm opening up the link between 12th and 13th chapter. And we had... Yes, Prabhu.
They say once you go to Golok, you don't come back, isn't it? So where is the question of we fighting with Krishna and coming down is the question, Mataji?
We come back from Swarga, we don't fall down from Golok.
No, Mataji. Even from Vaikuntha also you can, because if you envy the Lord there, why he is only getting worshipped? So they say from
heaven you can come back. From Golok, they say once you come to my abode, you don't come back.
Because no, it is not Goloka. We don't come back. We don't come back from Goloka.
So that's what. So
Mataji,
once there is the question
Siddha Jiva, Baddha Jiva.
We were in heaven.
Siddha Jiva.
Okay, so this question arises that if we were with Krishna and we were happy, there is no falling down from the spiritual world. How come we are here? So there are different answers, and Prabhupada also gives different answers at different times. I've heard Hari Parshad Prabhu also speak about this. He says that once a person is liberated, there is no falling down. So we could be coming from the stage where we were, transitioning from the lower species and now coming to human life, or we could have fallen down. Yes, there are chances where Mohini Mataji was saying that there's envy. Why? How am I not the enjoyer? Why is Krishna the enjoyer? So that also answer we've heard. But ultimately, Prabhupada said, don't worry about why or how we're here. We have to worry about how we have to go back. So this is example he used to give is mosquito has bitten, we have malaria. So if you go to doctor asking which mosquito and what time did he bite, how come only me, then the perfect question to ask the doctor is how can I get relieved and how can I become healthy now? So that's what I've heard in his classes also. Here's what I wanted to share to answer Krishna Keshav Prabhuji's question. We've done this before, but I'll just go over the link from 12th to 13th chapter. Let's look at this. How Jnana leads to Bhakti is this section all about. From the 13th chapter all the way to 18 chapters. And let's look at the link. When we put firewood to burn, it should not be wet, or to burn effectively, the wood needs to be dry, correct? If you have to burn wood, it has to be dry. Yes, it shouldn't be wet. So similarly, when we start practicing bhakti, there should not be any deviations. To practice effectively, our bhakti needs to be focused. So Krishna, in the next 6 chapters, teaches the devotee how the nature of this material world, or jnana about samsara, so one can be cautious, careful, alert, and attentive, and avoid deviations in one's devotional life, and understanding which one can come closer to Krishna by being more effective in practicing bhakti. So he's talking about prakriti, jnana, gnayam, all of these aspects to understand how to stay away from all of this prakriti and be focused in bhakti. Right? अभी जैसे कल एग्जाम है, फाइनल है 12th grade का, और हमें पता है पढ़ना है, correct? But there is a new movie of Amitabh Bachchan also playing right now in the other room. So how not to get deviated and go to the other room? Okay, 5 minutes देख के आ जाता हूँ, then I can study again. How not to get deviated. So although the knowledge is there, there is exam tomorrow, I have to get good grades, that all is there. And how not to get deviated is what this section is about. How not to get deviated.
After exam gets over, we can see.
Sorry?
After exam gets over, movie can be seen, but how about in bhakti? That is also not valid.
So in the next 6 chapters, Krishna teaches the devotee about the nature of this material world, jnana about samsara, the nature of cycle of birth and death, the difference between jiva and prakriti, and the material body. So this is what, in summary, it is. And when we focus on studying our exam, then we can come to the understanding at how this is a waste of time. Now I have to go in college. I have to focus. I shouldn't get deviated. Now I have to do PhD. I shouldn't get deviated. So it just makes us more mature and mature. Yes, Sunil Mataji. I hope I answered your question, Prabhu. Thank you. Yes, Sonia Mataji, you had a question or a reflection?
Mataji, just a reflection. I'm just trying to again link